The message came at midnight. Station time. Captain Park Jisoo was drinking cold coffee in her quarters when her communicator beeped with the highest priority alert. She read it 3 times before she believed it. The Velthari were coming. Within an hour, the entire Palax 7 station was in chaos. Species that had lived peacefully side by side for decades suddenly remembered old fears. The Fenari packed their ships and left before dawn. The Talic merchants closed their shops and disappeared. Even the station cleaning crews, usually so calm and steady, refused to work in the diplomatic wing. Jisoo stood at the observation window and watched ship after ship leave the docking bays. Behind her, Lieutenant Kim Do-hyun was reading reports on his datapad, his face tight with worry. 17 species have already left, he said. Another 12 are preparing to go. The station council is asking if we should cancel the meeting. We cannot cancel, Jisoo said. This is the first time in 200 years that the Velthari have asked to speak with anyone. If we turn them away now, they will never ask again. Do-hyun put down his datapad. Captain, with respect, do you know what the Velthari did? My grandmother told me stories. Her planet was one of the ones they burned. They did not just conquer worlds. They destroyed them completely. Nothing left. No buildings, no trees, no people. Just ash. Jisoo turned to look at him. She was 34 years old, and she had served in 3 different conflicts before becoming a diplomatic officer. She had seen what war could do. She had also seen what peace could do when people were brave enough to try. That was 200 years ago, she said. Those Velthari are dead. These are their children's children's children. Do we judge them for what their ancestors did? The galaxy does, Do-hyun said quietly. Then the galaxy is wrong. The Velthari ship arrived 2 days later. It came out of hyperspace like a shadow, huge and dark, and covered with old battle scars. The station's defense systems lit up with warnings. Security teams rushed to their positions. But the ship just drifted slowly toward the docking bay, sending out peaceful signals over and over again. Jisoo went to meet them alone. The station council had argued about this for hours, but she insisted. If she brought guards, it would look like a threat. If she brought other diplomats, they might say something wrong. Better to go alone and show that humans were not afraid. The airlock opened with a hiss of cold air. The smell hit her first, strange and sharp, like metal and flowers mixed together. Then she saw them. The Velthari were tall, almost 3 meters high. Their bodies were covered with hard black plates, like armor made of shell. They had 4 arms and 2 legs, and their faces were flat with large dark eyes and no mouths that she could see. They looked exactly like the pictures in the history books. They looked like nightmares, but they moved so slowly, so carefully. The one in front, wearing silver marks on its chest plates, took small steps like it was afraid of breaking the floor. It stopped 2 meters away from Jisoo and stood very still. Jisoo's heart was beating fast, but she did not step back. Instead, she bowed. It was a deep bow, the kind she would give to a respected elder back on Earth. The Velthari made a sound, soft and low, like wind through trees. Then it bowed too, bending its huge body forward until its head was lower than hers. I am Elder Crix, it said. The voice came from somewhere in its chest, translated by a small device. I thank you for meeting us. We know that you are afraid. Everyone is afraid. We are used to this. I am Captain Park Jisoo, she said, and I am not afraid. Crix's dark eyes looked at her for a long moment. Then you are the first in 200 years. She led them to the diplomatic quarters. The hallways were empty. Every door was closed. Jisoo could feel people watching through cameras and windows, but no one came out. The Velthari walked behind her in a line, their hard feet clicking on the floor. There were 6 of them in total, and they all moved with that same strange, careful slowness. In the meeting room, Jisoo offered them seats. The chairs were too small for their bodies, but they tried to sit anyway, folding their long legs awkwardly. Crix made that wind sound again, and Jisoo realized it might be laughter. "We have not sat in chairs made by others for a very long time," Crix said. "I will have better ones made for you," Jisoo said. "Now please tell me why you have come." Crix was silent for a moment. The other Velthari looked at each other, and Jisoo saw something in their body language that surprised her. They were nervous. They were scared. "We have come to ask for forgiveness," Crix said. "We know that this is impossible. We know that what our ancestors did can never be forgiven. But we want to try. We want to show the galaxy that we are not the same. We have changed. We have spent 200 years changing, but no one will look at us long enough to see it." Jisoo leaned forward. "What do you mean, you have changed?" "We have no army," Crix said. "We have no weapons. We have built nothing but schools and hospitals and gardens for 200 years. We have created art to remember the dead. We have written laws to make sure we never hurt anyone again. But none of this matters if no one knows, and no one will come close enough to learn." Jisoo thought about the empty hallways, the ships flying away, the fear that filled the station like smoke. "I will come close enough," she said. "I will learn." Crix stared at her. Then, slowly, the old Velthari reached out one of its 4 hands. The fingers were long and sharp, but they trembled slightly. Jisoo took the hand and held it. The shell was cold and hard, but she could feel something pulsing underneath. A heartbeat. "Thank you," Crix said, and its voice was rough with emotion. "You do not know what this means to us." "Then show me," Jisoo said. "Show me who you really are." Outside the window, another ship was leaving the station, running away from the monsters. But inside the room, a human and a Velthari were holding hands, and something new was beginning. Every morning for the next week, Jisoo went to the Velthari ship. She brought Do-Yun with her, though he was nervous and kept his hand near his weapon. She did not tell him to relax. She knew that trust took time. Elder Crix met them at the airlock each day and led them deeper into the ship. The inside was not what Jisoo expected. She had thought it would be dark and cold like the outside. Instead, she found light. Soft blue light glowed from the walls, and the air was warm and smelled like growing things. "This is how we live now," Crix explained as they walked. "We filled our ships with life, plants, animals, water. We wanted to remember that we can create, not just destroy." They passed through a room filled with flowers. Jisoo had never seen flowers like these before. They were tall and thin, with petals that changed color as she watched, purple to blue to silver to white. "These are memory flowers," Crix said. "We grew them to remember the worlds we destroyed. Each color is a different world. Each flower is a million lives." Jisoo stopped walking. There were hundreds of flowers in the room, thousands. She felt dizzy when she understood what she was seeing. "You remember all of them?" she asked. "We must," Crix said. "If we forget, we will do it again." Do-Yun was very quiet. He was looking at a flower that shifted from green to gold. His grandmother's world, perhaps. Jisoo did not ask. The next room was full of art. Paintings covered every wall, and sculptures stood in rows like soldiers. But these were not pictures of war or victory. They were pictures of sorrow. Velthari kneeling before burned cities. Velthari holding the bodies of aliens they had killed. Velthari crying, though Jisoo had not known they could cry. "We call this the Hall of Shame," Crix said. "Every Velthari child must walk through here when they are young. They must look at every picture. They must understand what we were. Then they can choose what to be. A young Velthari came into the room, smaller than the others, with plates that were still brown instead of black. It was carrying a box of cleaning tools. "This is Tika," Crix said. "Tika is learning to be a translator. Tika, say hello to our guests." Tika looked at Jisoo with huge, dark eyes. "Hello," Tika said in careful, slow words. "Welcome to our ship. I hope you are not afraid of us." Jisoo smiled. "I am not afraid. I am happy to meet you." Tika made a small sound, surprised and pleased. Then the young Velthari hurried away, looking back once over its shoulder. "The children are curious about you," Crix said. "They have never met anyone from outside. They want to know if the stories are true." "What stories?" Jisoo asked. "That aliens are kind, that they laugh and play and share food, that they are not all afraid of us." Crix paused. "We tell our children these stories, but we were not sure if they were true. We hoped." That night, Jisoo could not sleep. She kept thinking about the memory flowers and the Hall of Shame and the young Velthari who hoped that aliens could be kind. She called Yoon Minji, a human historian who worked on the station. Minji was 31 years old and loved old things. She studied dead languages and forgotten cultures. Jisoo thought she might understand. "You have to see their art," Jisoo said. "It is the most beautiful, most sad thing I have ever seen." Minji came to the ship the next day. She spent 3 hours in the Hall of Shame, crying quietly and taking pictures. When she came out, her face was red and her hands were shaking. "This needs to be seen," Minji said. "Everyone needs to see this. They have spent 200 years apologizing, and no one was listening." Jisoo nodded. She had been thinking the same thing. But not everyone agreed. That afternoon, Do-hyun came to her quarters with a worried look. "I found something," he said. He showed her his datapad. "Communications between 3 different species. They are planning to sabotage the Velthari mission. They want them to fail. They want them gone." Jisoo read the messages. They were full of hate and fear, old wounds that had never healed. She understood the feeling, but she could not let it continue. "Who are they?" she asked. "I cannot tell yet, but they are serious. They talked about a bomb." Jisoo felt cold. "We have to warn Crix. If we warn them, they will leave. They will think the galaxy still hates them." "The galaxy does still hate them," Jisoo said. "But that does not mean we should let them die." She went to Crix that evening and told the truth. The old Velthari listened without moving. When Jisoo finished, Crix made a long, slow sound like wind dying. "We expected this," Crix said. "We are not surprised." "You cannot just accept it," Jisoo said. "You have to protect yourselves." "We have no weapons. We promised ourselves never again." "Then let us protect you. Let humans help." Crix looked at her with those dark eyes. "Why would you help us? We are monsters. Everyone says so." Jisoo stepped closer. "I have seen your flowers and your art and your children. Monsters do not grow flowers. Monsters do not teach their children about shame. You are not monsters. You are people who did terrible things and have spent 200 years trying to be better. That is not monstrous. That is brave." Crix was quiet for a long time. Then the old Velthari reached out and touched Jisoo's shoulder with one gentle hand. "Your people are strange," Crix said. "You see things that others cannot see. Or maybe you see things that others refuse to see." "Maybe," Jisoo said. "But I also see that we cannot stop now. We have to show the galaxy who you really are. Not with words, but with actions. What do you suggest?" Jisoo smiled. "A party." Crix made the wind sound. Laughter again. "A party? A cultural exchange. Food, art, music. We bring the galaxy to you, and you show them the truth. Let them see the flowers and the paintings. Let them meet Tika. Let them taste your food and hear your songs." "They will not come," Crix said. They are too afraid. Some will come, Jisoo said. And that is enough to start. She left the ship that night with a plan forming in her mind. Behind her, Tika watched from a window, and in the young Velthari's eyes, there was something that looked very much like hope. They called it Exchange Day. Jisoo worked for 2 weeks to make it happen. She argued with the station council, who thought it was too dangerous. She convinced Minji to help display the Velthari art in the central plaza. She found Chief Han Soo-jin, a human cook who was brave enough to learn Velthari recipes and served them to strangers. The morning of Exchange Day, Jisoo stood in the plaza and looked at what they had built. The memory flowers glowed in their pots along the walls. The paintings hung from tall stands where everyone could see them. Soo-jin had set up a cooking station with strange ingredients that smelled sweet and sharp at the same time. And in the middle of it all stood Elder Crix and 5 other Velthari, trying not to look afraid. "No one will come," Crix said quietly. "Look, the plaza is empty." It was true. The plaza was one of the busiest places on the station, usually full of people from dozens of species. Today, it was silent. Doors were closed, windows were dark, the whole station was hiding. Jisoo took a deep breath. Give it time. Minji started a video feed, broadcasting the event across the station network. She walked through the art display, explaining each painting, talking about what she had learned from the Velthari. Her voice was calm and warm, like she was telling a bedtime story. "This painting shows the burning of Felix Prime," Minji said into the camera. "The Velthari artist painted it from memory. He was a soldier in that battle. He spent 40 years making this image. He wanted to remember every face he saw dying. He said forgetting would be worse than any punishment." Slowly, very slowly, people started to appear. First, just faces in windows. Then, a few brave ones who came to the edge of the plaza and watched from a distance. A Talik merchant stepped closer to look at a sculpture. A pair of young aliens came to smell the flowers. Tika was helping Soo-jin at the cooking station. The young Velthari handed out small cups of soup to anyone who came close. Most people were scared to take the cups at first, but Tika was patient and gentle, and eventually someone tried the soup. "It is good," the alien said, surprised. "It tastes like home." "That is what we wanted," Tika said proudly. "We wanted to make something that feels like home." By midday, there were maybe 50 people in the plaza. Not many compared to normal, but more than Jisoo had hoped for. She was starting to feel like it might work. Then Ambassador Raylos arrived. Raylos was a Fenari, a tall bird-like creature with bright red feathers and sharp golden eyes. The Fenari had lost 3 worlds to the Velthari during the old wars. They had lost millions of lives, and Raylos had lost family. Everyone on the station knew the story. The ambassador walked into the center of the plaza and stopped in front of Elder Crix. The crowd went quiet. Jisoo moved closer, her heart beating fast. "You should not be here," Raylos said. His voice was cold and hard. "You killed my people. You burned our worlds. And now you come here with flowers and paintings and expect us to forget?" Crix did not move. "We do not expect you to forget. We will never forget. We cannot forget." "Then why are you here?" Raylos demanded. "What do you want from us?" "We want you to see us," Crix said. "Not as we were, as we are now." "I see you," Raylos said. "I see monsters wearing pretty clothes. I see killers pretending to be sorry. You should leave. Go back to your dark corner of space and stay there forever." The crowd was watching. Jisoo could feel the tension like electricity in the air. This was the moment when everything could fall apart. But then Crix did something unexpected. The old Velthari knelt down. Slowly, carefully, Crix lowered that huge body until the armored head was touching the floor at Raylos's feet. "Felix Prime," Crix said. "Holana, bright water, green song. Morning Star. The names kept coming, one after another. These were your worlds. These were the homes we destroyed. I know their names. I know them all. I carry them inside me every day. Raylo stood frozen, staring down at the kneeling Velthari. I was not there, Crix continued. I was not born yet. But my grandfather was there. He led the fleet that burned Holana. He told me stories when I was young. He told me how the sky turned red with fire. He told me about the screaming. He wanted me to be proud. Instead, I was sick. I have been sick ever since. Crix looked up at Raylos. I cannot give you back your worlds. I cannot bring back the dead. But I can give you this. I can kneel before you and say their names. I can tell you that we remember. We will always remember. And we will spend the rest of our existence trying to become something better than what we were. The plaza was completely silent. Even the air seemed to stop moving. Then Raylos turned and walked away. He did not say anything. He did not look back. The crowd parted to let him through, and then he was gone. Jesu hurried to Crix and helped the old Velthari stand up. Are you all right? Yes, Crix said, but the voice was tired. We knew this would happen. We knew they would hate us. He did not attack you. He listened. That is something. Is it enough? Jesu did not know how to answer that. The exchange day continued for a few more hours. More people came. Some were curious, some were scared, some were angry. But they came. They looked at the art. They tried the food. They talked to Tika about life on the Velthari ship. That evening, after everything was cleaned up, Doyun came to Jisoo with his data pad. His face was pale. I found the bomb, he said. It is on the Velthari ship. It is set to explode in 6 hours. Jisoo felt her blood go cold. Who planted it? I still do not know, but it does not matter right now. We have to get them off that ship. Jisoo was already running toward the docking bay. Behind her, she could hear Do-hyun calling for security teams and engineers. But she was not thinking about backup. She was thinking about Tika, and the memory flowers, and the paintings in the Hall of Shame. She was thinking about everything they would lose if she did not run fast enough. Jisoo reached the Velthari ship with her lungs burning and her legs shaking. The airlock was open, and she ran inside without stopping. The blue lights on the walls seemed dimmer now. Or maybe it was just her fear making everything look dark. Crix! She shouted. Crix! Where are you? She found the elder in the Hall of Shame, standing in front of a painting of a burning city. Crix turned slowly when Jisoo came in, and there was something heavy and sad in those dark eyes. Captain Park, Crix said, you should not be here. It is late. There is a bomb on your ship, Jisoo said. She was breathing hard, and the words came out fast and rough. You have to evacuate. Everyone has to get off right now. Crix did not move. A bomb. Yes, Do-hyun found it. We do not know where exactly, but it will explode in less than 6 hours. Please, you have to leave. Crix looked back at the painting. Perhaps this is what should happen. Jisoo felt like she had been hit. What are you saying? The galaxy wants us gone. They have always wanted us gone. Maybe they are right. Maybe we should disappear. Then they can finally forget the things we did. No. Jisoo grabbed Crix's arm. The shell was cold and hard under her fingers. No, that is not true. If you die here, nothing changes. The fear stays, the hate stays. But if you live, if you keep trying, then maybe someday things will be different. You saw what happened today, Crix said. The ambassador would not even look at me. 200 years of trying, and they still see only monsters. He listened, Jisoo said. He heard you say those names, that matters. I know it does not feel like enough, but it matters. Crix made a long, slow sound. Not laughter this time. Something sadder. Your people are very strange, Crix said. You keep hoping even when there is no reason to hope. That is what humans do, Jisoo said. Now please let us help you. Let us save your ship and your people and your flowers. Let us show the galaxy that we can work together. Before Crix could answer, Do-Yun's voice came over Jisoo's communicator. Captain, I have a team of engineers ready. We need to get on that ship and find the bomb. Jisoo looked at Crix. Will you let them help? The old Velthari was quiet for a long moment. Then Crix nodded slowly. Yes. Tell them to come. The next few hours were chaos. Human engineers and Velthari worked side by side, searching through every room and corridor of the huge ship. They looked behind walls and under floors. They checked every system and every wire. Do-Yun coordinated everything from the central control room. His voice steady and calm, even though Jisoo could see the fear in his eyes. Tika stayed close to Jisoo, helping to translate and guide the humans through parts of the ship they had never seen. The young Velthari was scared, but trying to be brave. Will they find it in time? Tika asked. Yes, Jisoo said, though she was not sure. They will find it. The station had been alerted, and evacuation warnings were sounding in the nearby sections, but something unexpected was happening. Instead of running away, some people were coming closer. They wanted to help. A Talik merchant brought scanning equipment. A group of young aliens from the academy offered to help search. Even some of the species that had fled when the Velthari first arrived came back to lend their hands and their tools. Why are they helping? Tika asked, amazed. Because they saw you today, Jisoo said. They saw the flowers and the paintings. They saw you giving out soup and being patient with everyone who was rude to you. They saw that you are not what they thought you were. The bomb was found in the engine room, hidden inside a power converter. It was small but powerful, enough to destroy the whole ship and damage the station nearby. 2 hours left on the timer. Do-Yun and a Velthari engineer named Sorn worked together to disarm it. Everyone else was evacuated to a safe distance. Jisoo waited at the airlock, watching the countdown on her datapad. 90 minutes, 60 minutes, 30 minutes. Jisoo could not breathe. She kept thinking about all the things that could go wrong. One wrong wire, one mistake, and then everything would be gone. The ship, the flowers, Tika, Crix, Do-Yun. 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Her communicator beeped. Do-Hyun's voice came through, shaking but happy. It is done. The bomb is disarmed. Everyone is safe. Jisoo closed her eyes and let out a breath she felt like she had been holding for days. Around her, people were cheering. Velthari and aliens hugging each other, crying, laughing. When Do-Yun came out of the ship, Jisoo grabbed him and held him tight. You did it, she said. You saved them. We all did it, Do-Yun said. Together. Later, when things had calmed down, Ambassador Raylos appeared at the docking bay. Jisoo saw him coming and felt her body go tense. She did not know what to expect. Raylos walked past her without a word. He walked straight to Elder Crix, who was standing near the airlock with Tika beside him. The old Velthari and the Fenari looked at each other for a long moment. Then Raylos spoke. My grandmother told me stories about your kind, he said. She told me you knew nothing but war. She told me you could never change. Crix did not respond, just waited. Today I watched you, Raylos continued. I watched you work with the humans to save your ship. I watched you refuse to fight back or run away. I watched you choose peace when you could have chosen revenge. He paused. My grandmother was wrong about you. Or maybe you have become something she could not imagine. We are trying, Crix said softly. Raylos nodded. I can see that now. He did not apologize for what he had said in the plaza. He did not offer friendship or forgiveness. But he did reach out one feathered hand, and Crix took it. It was not much, but it was a start. That night, Jisoo found Tika in the medical bay. The young Velthari had been hurt during the evacuation, knocked down while trying to help a Fenari child get to safety. The injury was not serious, but the doctors wanted to watch overnight. "You were brave today," Jisoo said, sitting beside the bed. "I was scared," Tika admitted. "That is what brave means. Being scared and doing the right thing anyway." Tika looked up at her with those big, dark eyes. "Do you think they will accept us now? The galaxy?" Jisoo thought about Relos and the handshake. She thought about the Talik merchant with the scanning equipment and the young aliens who came to help search. "Some of them will," she said. "And that is enough to start." Tika made a small sound, almost like a purr. "I am glad you came to meet us, Captain Park. I am glad you were not afraid." Jisoo smiled and put her hand on Tika's shoulder. The shell was cold, but she could feel the warmth underneath. "I am glad too," she said. 6 months passed. The station changed slowly, like a flower opening in the morning light. More ships came back. Shops reopened. The hallways filled with voices and footsteps again. And in the middle of it all, the Veltari were still there. They had moved some of their memory flowers to a garden in the station plaza. Every day, people came to look at them. They read the small signs that explained what each color meant. They stood quietly and thought about the past. Minji published her book about Velthari art. It was called The Shape of Sorrow, and it became famous across the galaxy. People who had never met a Velthari read about the Hall of Shame and the 200 years of silence. They saw the paintings of kneeling warriors and crying children. And slowly, very slowly, they started to understand. Sujin opened a small restaurant on the station. She served Veltari food mixed with human recipes, and she called it the Bridge. The first week, only humans came. The second week, a few Tolek tried the soup. By the third month, there was a waiting list to get a table, and Sujin was teaching cooking classes to aliens from a dozen different species. Tika became the first Velthari youth ambassador. The young one traveled to schools and community centers, talking about life on the Velthari ship. At first, audiences were small and scared, but Tika was patient and gentle and funny, and word spread. Soon, Tika was giving talks to crowds of hundreds, answering questions about everything from Velthari music to Velthari jokes. "Do Velthari laugh?" a child asked once. Tika made the wind sound, soft and warm. "Yes, we laugh. We laugh at silly things and happy things, and sometimes sad things too. Laughing helps us remember that life is still good." The child smiled, and Tika smiled back, though it looked different on a Velthari face. And through all of this, the Galactic Assembly was watching. The Assembly was the oldest and most powerful organization in the galaxy. It decided who could travel freely and who could not. It made laws and treaties. It could welcome a species into the community of worlds, or it could lock them out forever. For 200 years, the Velthari had been locked out. Now, finally, they had a chance to get in. The vote was scheduled for the first day of the new year. Representatives from every member species would come to the Great Assembly Hall and decide if the Velthari could join. Elder Crick was invited to speak. So was Jisoo. The night before the vote, Jisoo could not sleep. She stood at her window and looked out at the stars and wondered what she would say. How could she convince a galaxy full of fear to take a chance on hope? Do-hyun found her there and stood beside her in silence. "Are you nervous?" he asked finally. "Yes," she said. "I am afraid I will say the wrong thing. I am afraid they will not listen." "They will listen to you," Do-hyun said. "You made me listen, and I was ready to hate them. If you can change my mind, you can change anyone's mind." Jisoo looked at him. "Do you really believe that?" Do-hyun nodded. "I went back to the Hall of Shame last week. I stood in front of the painting of Holana, my grandmother's world. I was so angry. I wanted to break it. But then I read the sign next to it. The artist's name was Crawl. He spent 40 years making that painting because he could not forgive himself for what he did. He died before it was finished. His daughter completed it for him. Do-hyun's voice was rough. Monsters do not feel guilt like that. They do not spend their whole lives trying to make amends. I was wrong about them. We were all wrong. Jisoo put her hand on his arm. Thank you for telling me that. Tell them tomorrow, Do-hyun said. Tell them what I told you. Maybe it will help. The assembly hall was huge, bigger than anything Jisoo had ever seen. Thousands of seats rose up in circles around a central platform, and every seat was full. She saw Fenari and Tolic and humans and dozens of species she did not recognize. She saw Ambassador Relos sitting in the front row, his red feathers bright against the dark chairs around him. And she saw the Velthari, Crix and Tika, and 20 others, sitting in a section that had been empty for 200 years. They looked small and scared and hopeful, and Jisoo felt her heart squeeze tight in her chest. Crix spoke first. The old Velthari talked about history and shame and the long years of silence. Crix talked about the memory flowers and the Hall of Shame and the promise they had made to never hurt anyone again. It was a good speech, honest and humble. But the assembly was quiet when it ended. No cheering, no clapping, just silence. Then it was Jisoo's turn. She walked to the central platform and looked out at all those faces. So many eyes watching her. So much fear and anger and hope all mixed together. She took a deep breath and began. You knew them only for fear, she said. For 200 years, that was all they were to you. A nightmare, a story to scare your children, a shadow in the dark part of space where no one wanted to go. She paused. The hall was completely still. But fear is not a people. Fear is a feeling, and feelings can change. She told them about the first day, when Crix bowed lower than she did. She told them about the memory flowers and the paintings and the young Velthari who hoped that aliens could be kind. She told them about Exchange Day and the bomb and the way everyone worked together to save the ship. I have eaten their food, she said. I have heard their songs. I have watched their children play. They are not their ancestors. None of us are. We all carry the weight of what came before us, but we also carry the choice of what comes next. She looked at Crix. They chose to change. They chose to be better. They have spent 200 years proving it, with no one watching, with no reward, with no hope that anyone would ever care. That is not weakness. That is the greatest strength I have ever seen. She looked out at the assembly. You have a choice now, too. You can keep them locked outside, and nothing will change. The fear will stay. The hate will stay. Or you can let them in and give them a chance to show you who they have become. Give us all a chance to become something better together. She stepped back. Her heart was pounding. She did not know if it was enough. The vote took an hour. Species argued and debated and whispered to each other. Jisoo sat with Do-hyun and Minji and Sujin and waited. Tika sat beside her, trembling slightly. Finally, the assembly leader stood up. The vote is complete, the leader said. The Velthari are accepted into the Galactic Assembly. For a moment, there was silence. Then the Velthari section erupted. Crix made a sound that was like crying and laughing at the same time. Tika jumped up and hugged Jisoo so hard it almost hurt. All around the hall, people were clapping, not everyone. Some seats stayed quiet, some faces stayed hard, but enough were clapping. Relos stood up in his seat and bowed to Crix. A small bow, careful and slow, but a bow. Crix bowed back. That night, there was a celebration on the station. Sujin cooked enough food for 1,000 people. Minji gave away free copies of her book. Tika taught a group of children how to make the wind sound of Velthari laughter. Jisoo stood at the edge of it all and watched. She felt tired and happy and something else she could not name. Relief, maybe, or hope. Crix came to stand beside her. "You saved us," Crix said. Jisoo shook her head. "You saved yourselves. I just helped people see it." "That was the hardest part," Crix said. "We could not do it alone." They stood together in comfortable silence for a while. Then Jisoo's communicator beeped. A message from Do-Yun. "New assignment," the message said. "Another isolated species is asking for first contact. They have been alone for a long time and they are scared. Headquarters wants to know if you are interested." Jisoo smiled and looked up at the stars. "Yes," she said, "I am interested." Behind her, Tika was teaching the children a new song. It was a Velthari song, old and sad and beautiful. But the children were laughing as they tried to learn the words, and that made it sound like something new, something hopeful. Jisoo turned and walked toward her ship, ready to do it all again.